Them to know before we get started.
Um, I'm Tylee. For those of you who don't know me, I started off here, hey Blossom, just loving to read, just wanting to talk about books that none of my friends like to read. And I found community here on TikTok and built a community of friends within authors. I never thought that was possible. Like, when authors used to be so elusive and they were just mysterious and you just never really, there was never a face, even if there was a picture on the inside of the book that was just like, who is this strange person writing these books that I love? But TikTok has changed all of that. And I've always loved writing, been a writer my whole life. And I actually loved the process of like editing. And so I did that all through college and high school. I would edit other people's work or write their essays, get paid to write essays, things like that. So just the true nerd. And so when I launched Marked, it was just from a true need of honestly getting tired of hearing people complain about the issues they were seeing in urban stories, having all the excuses about why they weren't reading urban stories or why they didn't like Black books. Um, all the errors, all the mistakes. Because I'm the kind of person where, like, if I enjoy the story, I could care less. I'm going to keep reading it through whatever. But seeing the need that there's just a lack of, whether it's the options for editors or editing being too expensive and inaccessible, I was like, you know what? I'm going to slide in that space and do what I love to do and try to help um, a group of people that has helped me so much in my escapism and my hobby as a reader. So I'm gonna bring my skills to the table and see what I can bring to authors. And it's been an amazing journey. I never ever could have imagined like launching this business and it being successful from the beginning, but it truly has been. And so I'm very, very blessed. I'm excited to see where it goes. But I offer editing and proofreading. Eventually, my goal is to see Marked as a publishing house, as a full production studio that transforms books into screenplays and go into film production and um, take my other passion of music and film and just overall production and combine it with books. So I have projection in my vision for my company, and I'm just hopeful to see where it goes.
Okay. So you are in the indie space. Thank you. You are in the indie space and you mentioned about how this discord about there was a few words that was messed up, or it was a couple of words messed up, and people will say, "Oh, I can't read that book." They DNF the book, they talk shit about the book. Why was it that you said with indie books specifically that this was the route you wanted to go? Because you're dealing with indie books, not traditional books, right?
Right, that's where my heart is. Now, I'm not going to say I will turn down trad pub books because Lord knows if if a publishing house reaches out, best believe my books are going to be open. Um, but at this point, I'm operating out of my heart, and that's just coming from like my page.
Mm-hmm.
99.9% of reviews and things that I do is indie authors.
Mm-hmm.
My whole goal of my page has always been to shed light and bring awareness to Black and BIPOC um, indie authors. So that's what I focus on, and naturally, that's how my um, audience has grown. That's the authors that I've been able to grow to call friends. So that's naturally what my client base has been. As I grow in my business, I would love to snag, traditionally published work.
Yeah.
I think that would be an amazing accomplishment to be able to say I edit for publishing houses. But I also want to remain accessible to indies and be something that can be an asset. I feel like having true partnership in editing in that stage to see your story, they give so much in these stories. And
Mm-hmm.
as a one person, a one stop shop, there's things that are gonna fall through the cracks. You can't be expected to do everything on your own and it end up being well polished as it could be. So I want to be an asset and not an expense as an editor, especially for my indies.
Yeah.
If I get the eye of trad pub, companies, today's price would not be yesterday's price when it comes to that. So I still want to
Right.
be, I want to be accessible to indies, but that's not going to be the same the same thing for trad pub situations for sure.
So let me ask you this: how important is it for you as an editor to literally fine tune your craft? Because I feel like an editor, proofreader, that's a craft. So how is it important for you to fine tune your craft before you put it out to anyone, or even be honest with the authors? Like, look, I hear what you're saying, but that's not it. Let's rework
Yeah,
some stuff. How is it for you to deal with that? Because people are sensitive about their shit. So
absolutely.
how do you deal with that type of mentality, knowing that, some authors would be like, girl, I've been writing for 10 years.
Right.
So how do you deal with that?
So as an editor, it's my job to fine tune what you're doing, but not take away your voice as an author. It depends on what I'm being asked, honestly. So if I have an editor hiring me to proofread, that's basic level, surface level. That's like the last look at it. That's dotting the
Mhm.
I's, crossing the T's, grammar, punctuation, just making the story that you've written
Mhm.
ready for publication. You're not asking me for my input on the story. You're not asking me to change the words around or take away and do word replacement. Let's say you use the words, I don't know, again, 47 times in the story. If I'm doing copy or line edits, I'm going to try to suggest that you replace a few of those agains to as well or to or, another time. Like, I'll do suggestions to switch up the verbiage to make it seem more diverse as a story and just read better, have a better experience for the reader. Um, so copy and line edits are going to be like a micro look at the
Mhm.
story, details within the line, style, writing
Mhm.
style, things like that. And developmental editing is going to be when I truly get into the meat of the story, the big picture, the world
Yeah.
building, the character arcs and their personalities, make sure there's no plot holes, making sure there's no questions left unanswered at the end of the book, making sure that at the end of the day, the big picture is truly captured and the
Mhm.
story is very well developed. So that's what I'm going to give my input and let you know. I feel like this is missing, or you told me like when I do developmental edits, I will ask the authors questions
Mhm.
about the book. Like if there was one thing you wanted the reader to take away from this, what would that be?
Yeah.
If you had to tell me your main character's favorite color, what would it be based on their personality? Or what
Mhm.
is your main character's greatest fear? Things that will help the reader get to really know and get to know the characters and tune into the story. Um, there are just some things that knowing that having that
Mhm.
conversation with the author, I can then go in when I'm reading and make sure I'm able to tap in as an editor to make sure those things are clear by the end of the
Mhm.
book. And if they're not, then I'll be like, hey, based on our conversation, it looks like, Homeboy's greatest fear was really fear of abandonment and not fear
Mhm.
of commitment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe we need to answer a few more questions, or maybe there needs to be a few situations where he sits down and talks to his dad, or talks
Yeah.
to his best friend and shows a more vulnerable side so the reader can get a better insight into his greatest fear without you
Yeah.
having to spell it out and that main character be like, I'm scared of abandonment. But it's something
Mhm.
that just you can read between the lines and feel like you know the character on that level by the time you finish the story. But
Mhm.
if we're not doing those deep dives and you're just hiring me to proofread, that's not my job to go in and change those things. I'm only going to make sure that what you wrote looks good and is ready to be published. Because I think also when you're editing specifically urban stories, editors a lot of times want to mute or change the author's voice, and that's important to me that I don't do that.
Mhm.
Things like dialogue and vernacular and slang and
Yeah,
things
that
like
was gonna
that
be
that
my
are
next
very
question.
important to the culture. Like you don't want to change that. It may not
Right.
be grammatically correct, but it's crucial to the story that it stays that way. Like you did it on purpose. So I'm not going to go back with notes like this is spelled wrong or this
Mhm.
sounds, uneducated or things that other editors may say. Like that's on purpose. That's a cultural cue right there that
Mhm.
shows you where the character's from, what they're experiencing in their everyday life, what their friend groups may be like when they speak to each other, and it seems more real as a reader to relate to as
Mm-hmm.
someone who's also a member of the Black community or urban culture. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what they want from me as an editor, because I'm not going to go in and just, you know what I'm saying, try to change the story.
So how do you, as you talked about the urban, the AAVE, the vernacular that is in the Black community, but how do you do the, like, it's something you never heard before, because every region has a different
Right.
type of slang. So how do you do your research to make sure this isn't, or even if the author's like, oh, I just made it up, but you do your research, do you do research to make sure it's not just made up, that it's possibly something else, so the author doesn't get in trouble about it?
It depends. That's going to come with a developmental edit for sure. Proofreading, no. Proofreading, no. If I have a question, I'll leave a comment in the manuscript. I like to edit within Google Docs because I'm able to share the document in with the author, so
Mm-hmm.
they can watch my progress in real time if they want to.
Right.
Whereas editing within like Microsoft Word, for example, I could do track changes in Microsoft Word. Only I could see those changes. Where in Google Docs, they could be logged
Mm-hmm.
into the document and they can see me in real time as I'm making notes, as I'm making changes, and they can go in and accept those changes or reject those changes in real time. So if they
Mm-hmm.
have a question, they always have my number. We can have a conversation about it. We can text about it. Or if I truly have a question, I'll reach out and say, hey, was this on purpose? Is this something that's going to occur throughout the book? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
familiar with this. Can you give me more, insight into this experience for the book so I know this is something you want to make sure happens throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I honestly have never reached a situation like that yet where I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really sure. A lot of times, things like that are made clear. The author will
Mm-hmm.
say, small supporting things in world building around something, like if it's a magical situation or a fantasy situation, they give a brief description of what that made up word is.
Right.
So I can use context clues like, oh, okay, this means that. I know that.
Okay.
Now moving forward, as long as that's clear throughout the book, good. Now in
Mm-hmm.
proofreading, I'll make sure that that happens throughout the book, that that's not used in a different way throughout the
Mm-hmm.
book. And if it is, I'll make a note, I'll make a comment and say, hey, in chapter 3, this was used in this context, but right here it's used in this context. Is this on purpose? Or do we need
Mm-hmm.
to look at a different word choice possibly? Things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So really as editor, it's just my job to make sure the author's voice is consistent throughout the
Mm-hmm.
story, because ultimately that's their shit. Like, this is
Yeah,
your
yeah.
book, it's your story. So I don't want to do anything on my end to take away your voice. I want to make sure your voice is consistent and the story reads the way it needs to throughout, so the reader's not confused.
Yeah. It's being in the indie world and seeing a lot of the bullshit that goes on. You have a lot of editors that are predators, that
Mm-hmm.
they prey on, especially new authors. The older authors they don't prey on so much because they've been in the game too long. But a lot of the newer authors, they give them the gift of gab, but don't give them the gift of work. How do
Yeah.
you how do you like keep yourself out of that stereotype that a lot of the indie authors have dealt with so many editors to the point that they just do it they damn selves and say fuck it, be damned. How do
Right.
you move yourself out of that category of people who say they're editors with the gift of gab but don't have a return on the work till like 6, 7, 8 months down the line?
Right. Well, first and foremost, I asked for direct feedback. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
kind of person in general across the board. I'm always looking to grow and develop as a person and a professional with my business. So I know with more experience, I will develop my craft more.
Mm-hmm.
But I always welcome feedback. If something I did was unclear, let me know. If I could have done something better, please let me know. If you didn't
Mm-hmm.
like something I did, let me know. I
Right.
can't do better unless I know better. You know what I'm saying? So I take that to heart just as an individual. But I also
Mm-hmm.
did my research. I did months of research in this market before I launched my business, from pricing to process to um, access to just across the board, how my website is set up, to
Mm-hmm.
verbiage and being full disclosure about things. And what I noticed that I didn't like in, hey Brett, What I noticed I didn't like was the pricing structure, and
Mm-hmm.
how elusive things felt. If I were an author and I'm sitting here writing my book, and in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here worried about word count because I know once I finish this book, editors are going to charge me per word to edit my work, and I'm not going to be taken seriously unless I have an edited work. That's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of daunting, you know? And
Yeah.
market rate is between 2 to 7 cents per word. So the average romance book, which is like the most popular,
Mm-hmm.
genre of book right now, is between 60 to 80,000 words. So you're looking at anywhere from $1,300 to $1,900 for a basic edit or proofread, and that's crazy. And up from there for the complexity of editing. So I made sure when I launched my business, I was accessible,
Mm-hmm.
easy to understand, and had a set rate. So, like I said, I want to be an asset and not an expense for an author.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that is imperative? I think for someone to take seriously, absolutely. Do I
Yeah.
think everyone's going to be able to afford an editor? No, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want it to be something that's so big of a jump that it's just out of the realm of possibility. Like you can afford me to down to the point where my website accepts Klarna and Afterpay. Like if you need to pay me in
Mm-hmm.
4 payments, then let's do that. If we need to work it out where you break it up over time, then let's do that because, like I
Yeah.
said, I want to be an asset and not an expense. Um, but my proofreading and editing and line edits and developmental edits have set prices up to 100,000 words because I know the average book length and what I'm looking at most of the time is going to be less than 100,000 words. So
Mm-hmm. But how
my
do you
proof,
make it profitable for yourself? Not to cut you off, but I just
yeah,
want to make sure that you also are making it profitable for yourself because even though you are doing your due diligence and doing the research about the pricing and you are offering a great service, how do you make it profitable for yourself? Because you need something on the back end as well because you are doing a service.
right. And I know with time, as my business grows, I'll be able to grow. I'll be able to increase prices as I have more
Mhm.
reputability, things like that. But I also know as my business grows, my business plan and structure will grow. I'll be able to
Mhm.
offer tiers of access, whether that means I hire an editor to work under me, and
Mhm.
I train and mentor them, and then they take over the pricing tier where I'm working at now. And then
Mhm.
someone who wants to work directly with me would have to pay a different tier of pricing. That'll happen
Ah.
with time, but I'm at the point now where as long as, let's say, right now I have a manuscript booked every 72 hours for the next 2 months.
Mhm.
So, and that's because I
Damn,
took,
girl.
yeah, I've been blessed with business, and I appreciate that. But I know that just means I don't be sleeping for real because I still have my full time job. Hopefully, the first of the year that won't be a reality anymore. But I'm working my way out of my full time job. And how I based my pricing structure was every day I wanted to make what I've been making at my full time job.
Mm.
As long as I can replace what I'm making in my full time job now, I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to get
Yeah.
rich right now. I'm trying to
Yeah.
build a
Yeah.
sustainable income and a career that can be long lasting,
Mhm.
with the potential for growth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as long as I'm making what I'm making now, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm working for
Yeah.
myself, which is a plus. It's my own business, and I have control. I have full control over the exponential growth where it goes from here. So my goal wasn't to be super profitable. It was just to replace what I'm making now and
Yeah.
step into my own lane, do my own thing. So there's room for growth. And I think that it's exponential growth opportunity where I'm at. So I'm fully okay with that. But like I
Yeah.
said, I'm really not trying to get rich from it at this point. I just want to be able to work for myself, be a full time reader, and replace what I'm doing right now full time.
Yeah.
So that's the goal. And I'm doing that. So I'm okay with where I'm at.
So how do you get yourself as far as like marketing? Because marketing on the social media is almost like a fucking full-time job.
Woo, child.
So how do you do your marketing so that this word can get out? Word of mouth is great. It is profitable for word of mouth. But how do you do it in regards for yourself and your marketing with your schedule?
I truly don't. That's the thing. Like, I've been
Mhm.
blown away by my response, and I thank God for always for giving me the intuition to lead with my heart
Mhm.
and give of myself as I have been over this last year.
Mhm.
Thank you, Brianna, girl. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Um, because just by operating out of my heart and being in this space where I have built a platform to help support and uplift authors, they have in turn been excited and willing to want to work with me and support my business. And I've had conversations where they've said that me doing book reviews, just by getting online and talking about books that I'm reading anyways and loving anyways,
Mhm.
just by sharing those book reviews with people, I've helped change lives of authors. I've helped with their book sales, you know what I'm saying, tremendously. And so it feels good to know that something I was going to do anyway had a
Mhm.
positive impact on someone else's life. And me listening to my heart and being vulnerable on the internet and sharing my life and sharing my love of books has now built a relationship with authors who in turn want to support me like I've supported them. So as of right now, it's been truly just word of mouth. I think I've made maybe 3 videos, maybe 4 videos where I even talk about my business.
Mhm.
One like the announcement, the rest just like thanking people for sharing my videos, talking about how I'm excited for the growth and things like that. But I've worked with, I mean, names that I would have never dreamt to work with in my first month. I launched October 6th.
I
And
saw.
I like I just I mean I've been in tears several times, just thankful for the opportunities that I've been given. Um, but it's just reassurance to stay true to who you are, truly stay in your lane, be genuine and kind, and give love. And like energy is reciprocal. What you give, you're gonna get. And I just feel like it's truly my season. Because trust me,
Yeah.
I have gone through years of it not being my season, of constantly being in the background, of constantly playing the support, of constantly giving myself and getting nothing in return. But I've just stuck to it. I've just continued to give and continue to love and continue to encourage. And now I truly believe I'm living in my season and it's time for me to build something for myself. And I'm being blessed because I've been disciplined and I've been diligent and I've continued to be kind and share love. So um, it's my season to reap blessings, and I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for it. Not
I
that it's not
bet.
hard work, because I'm working my ass off. I'm truly, truly
I
working my
bet.
ass off.
Shit.
Um,
I
but I
bet.
love it. I love every second of it. Thank you,
So
Brianna.
when are we going to see you like on book tours? Because just because you're an editor does not mean that you can't have a table at a book tour surrounded by indie authors or just authors in general to promote your services.
So I actually was talking to my husband about that the other week. I was like, I'm going to I'm for sure going to at least 4 book events in 2025. And I was like, I feel like I should maybe like have some kind of marketing material printed up or ready for me when I go to these book events, just to network and give, whether it's book card, business cards or pamphlets or something. I don't even know.
You
I've
want to
never
take for
been
a
to a book
Tulsa?
event. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Shannon, we're gonna
Yeah.
give her a table at Tulsa.
I don't know. That was my first event, so I don't know, what to expect, or I've never been to one before, so I don't know. But that's something I want to do. I look forward to just being able to go hug people's necks in general, like
Mhm.
absolutely. But I need to go show up and just network and talk about my
Yeah, you
business.
got a network, and the reason why I'm pushing it is because even though I might come off somewhat, I don't give a fuck or whatever the case may be, but I actually do care. And seeing people do stuff in the literary world, especially for indie black and BIPOC, the BIPOC community, is real important to me. And I'd rather for y'all to get the business than anybody else. And I just don't feel like y'all don't give yourself enough credit. You know what I'm saying? You've been in this for a minute and you don't even give yourself enough credit. You are very humble. You know what I'm saying? You don't give yourself enough credit. So yeah, I would want you to have a table at Tulsa. Shit, I would want you to be at the Black Romance Festival and all that other shit because you there's there's a need for you.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. I think there's a need. I think there's a need for sure. I don't know. I just feel very strongly that um, there's purpose. There's true purpose, and I think that everybody needs love and encouragement. I've kind of always been that person. I've always been the cheerleader in like every group to give like words of affirmation is like truly how I
Mm-hmm.
show love. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a word in my heart or my mind. I wake up and it's like, you need to share this today or you need to say this today. And it seems like cheesy or whatever to be on the internet talking about I love y'all and I don't know y'all, but when I tell you I mean it, like I wake up with a heavy on my heart. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
got people who don't hear that from anybody in their life at all. Nobody telling them they love them. Nobody telling them that they can do anything to put their mind to. Like I've always been the person that has those downloads that it's like you need to share this. And
Mm-hmm.
so um, I feel heavy in my heart that there's purpose behind my business. So I definitely want to take advantage of book events to be put in a position to not only, talk about my business and make new clients, but also share the purpose that I know I've been given. And as my
Mm-hmm.
platform continues to grow, I really want to make sure that my purpose is clear and who I am is clear and my character and my heart is very clear, So um, taking advantage of those situations is important to me. But I also get like social anxiety for real. I get very weird around people. I'm weird in general. I'm weird. I'm weird. I be doing weird shit. Like I be doing weird shit. I don't have a filter. I cuss a lot. I be lightweight sexually harassing people. Like
Yeah, I don't do
I
that
just
part because I don't even like being around motherfuckers. But
listen. I grab so many booties that don't make no sense. I just be like, oh my god, look at that. Like, gotta touch it. Well,
check this
I'm gonna
out.
work on that before I go to this event so I don't get any charges. But
Oops. Please. Please.
Brit
They probably stick it out for you.
and
Please.
Will, I do got game. I got a lot of game. Hoes love me.
Some of the hoes. I'm dead. So check this out. You said something about screenwriting, right?
Mhm.
That you eventually want to go there.
Right.
Um, what if I could connect you with a film company and have them mentor you?
Absolutely down for it. Absolutely. I went to film school. One of my minors in college was film development and screenwriting. I have years of background in just different types of production. Like I did print modeling. I did a lot of stuff on the production side, in front of and behind the camera. My husband and I have a production company. We've done like music videos, short films, commercials. He still runs it on his end, but I kind of stepped away the last few years. But we've shot commercials for years. We do wedding videos and photos, like anything creative. We've always had our hand in it. We have a recording studio. Like truly with me. I've lived 100 lives. Like anything creative, we've always been just like, let's just express ourselves. Like anything, we love that. So I would be
Well, how about
1000%
I hook you up
into
with
it.
somebody who was in SRA's, was a finalist in SRA's film festival.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'll just text you that information and I'll let them know on their end, and then y'all can chat.
Yes, absolutely. Because I feel like, all these books we read, so many of them could easily be screen adaptations, could easily be TV shows or films, like easily. And from experience, it doesn't take a lot of effort to shoot a film. It doesn't take a lot of, you don't need, when I tell you we have made magic out of a molehill, like we have done the impossible with no resources. We have done so many things with so little that having access to these books, I would hope they'll continue to come through my desk, being in the position to be able to then develop those into more opportunities as I see the
Mhm.
ones that have potential and just pass those along and grow those stories continuously. That's the end goal for sure.
I know Rowdy Gunshot is doing that like right now, but we one of y'all, I don't know who, one of y'all need to make a streaming service directly because Passion Flix is not it.
I've never even watched anything from Fashion Flicks, but I've heard about. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a perm site. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what it was.
No, that is two way. Is two way. That's
It's
all I
like
can say.
Tubi.
It's like Cinemax HBO After Dark.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's giving not even B budget. It's giving Z budget.
Gotcha.
It's yeah, yeah. And a lot
I
of
like
the
that.
traditionally published go over there. Why? I do not know, but bless their heart and their ministry. That's why I said somebody, one of y'all, need to come out
Hmm.
with a streaming service that do these books right. Because ain't no way. Ain't no way. And the
Yeah.
actors do not look like the characters.
Do you be seeing those ads on your feed where it's like these little short films you gotta subscribe, like Drama Box, or like you have
Mm-hmm.
to pay per like scene? Those be getting me every time. They be so bad. The acting be terrible, but I'm like, ooh. I mean, he be mad at me because I will spend American doll hairs on those Z budget ass
I
short
do
films.
too. I do.
But they get me every time. I'll be so invested because they're so
I do too.
cheesy. But it's like a book in real time. It's very much like a book. Like I just like it. I
Because it's
like it. But
different
yes,
episodes for each chapter. Yeah,
yes,
I
I
do
like
too.
it.
Um,
Yeah, we do need something like that.
so what is your tiers? What is your tiers for authors in regards to what you offer, but what are the tiers for that?
Okay. So, like I said, I have set prices up to 100,000 words. So, proofreading is 199.
Mm-hmm.
Copy or line edits is 399, and
Mm-hmm.
developmental edits is 599. And that's
So
up to 100,000 words. Anything outside of that, we'll talk about how many more words it is, and then we'll come up with a price that fits the extra word amounts. But set price up to 100,000 words.
So if an author wants a re-release of a book and they still want you to be the editor for that said book, is there a price for that as well?
A re-release of a book I've already edited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what they
If they
want from
change
that
up,
re-release.
like if they change up like the epilogue or change up some stuff that they had in there and they want to add more to it, is there a price for that?
So that would definitely be custom. I guess it would depend on what all they're changing. Because if it's literally just like adding an epilogue or extra chapters or whatever, and the book is already pre-edited and they're not going through and changing. Let's say they want to a lot of re-releases are changing point of view, and that's something I've seen lately. Books going from first person to third person. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people feel like third person narration is like a different level of writing, like it's more sophisticated. Whereas, like across the board, the consistency has been people hate third person writing. They
Mm-hmm.
just feel so disconnected from the story.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't read as well for urban stories in third person. They don't. That's what the people say. They hate it, but some authors want to do that. So a complete rewrite of what I've already edited, that would have to be a brand new edit because I'm going to have to go through and fully edit the entire story to make sure there's nothing remaining in first person and everything is switching into third person. That's changing
Mm-hmm.
all the pronouns. That's changing all of the tenses of the words from present tense to past tense or whatever, just to make it make sense from the viewpoint of view. So that would have to be charged as a completely new edit because it's a complete rework of every single word within the story. But if we're just adding a chapter, or if we're just adding an epilogue, or adding a few words to existing chapters, there's no way I'm going to sit up and say, we're going to go charge you for an entire new work. If it was my previous work and I feel like I need to stand strong on my work and be like, okay, if I already edited it, then I know it's good to go. So let me know if we're just adding to or completely re-editing because that's if I have to read the whole book again, I'm gonna have to charge you for the time that it takes me to read the whole book again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's really all that I charge for. It's the time that it takes to go through the book and comb through word by word and make sure it's all like good quality.
So explain to us what developmental editing is.
Developmental editing is big picture. That's like world building, character arcs, making sure there's no plot holes, there's no unanswered questions at the end of the day. Um, that if you tell me in chapter one that the mama's name is Sharon, her name is still Sharon in chapter 17, that if he was born in Chicago and he's been raised in Chicago, all of a sudden he's using slang that's known to be used in the Bay Area and Cali because the author's from the Bay Area and Cali, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
let you know, hey, the character's mannerisms and language is not matching up with the place that he's from.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. full picture, big picture. There's no unanswered questions, things like that. It's going to be developmental edit. Now, I will say with my tiers, I think what's special about what I do is that if you get my developmental editing package, it includes copy and line edits. It also includes a round of proofreading at the end. So I not only go through and make sure the story is completely developed, but I send you those changes once I gave you my detailed notes, and then you make your changes as an author, because I'm not going to make them for you. I'm going to leave you notes about what I feel like is missing, or is this on purpose, or what do you think about this, or whatever, right? I give you back the manuscript. You go make your changes and let me know, hey, I'm done with my changes. I go back in for my final round, which is going to be copy and line edits and proofreading to make sure that word choice is where it needs to be, and periods and commas are where they need to be, and contractions are where they should be, and things like that. I think some of the feedback that I got from my last developmental edit was they weren't used to seeing copy edits being done during a developmental edit. But the way my ADHD brain works is if I see an error as I'm going through on my first read, I'm going to go ahead and fix that, because I know I'm doing a second read, and that's less work for me to do on my next round. So if I see something that's surface level, I can go ahead and make notes to change it. I'm going to go ahead and do that while I'm doing my developmental edit. And I don't leave my comments for developmental editing until I've read the entire book. I just make note of what my thoughts, because I may have a question in chapter 3 that you answer in chapter 9, but I don't know until I've read chapter 9. So I don't want to leave a comment in chapter 3 and then you'd be like, oh, do I need to change this? But you did your job as an author and you answered that question for me in chapter 9. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes unanswered questions as a reader is important because it builds suspense. It makes you look forward to continue to turn the pages. So as an editor, I don't want to give unnecessary comments or ask unnecessary questions until I know for sure that they were not answered by the end of the book. And so I got someone to give me feedback to say they weren't used to seeing copy and line edits as I go for developmental editing. And they were used to seeing a lot more comments as they go. I'm more of a, I like to get the full picture of the book to know exactly what's missing by the end, instead of, you know what I'm saying, leaving all these crazy comments and making you feel like you didn't do your job as an author whenever I just don't have the complete picture yet. You know?
That's damn. That's good as hell. So what exactly is proofreading? Like what is the definition of proofreading for you, and how do you equate that, and how do you do that?
Proofreading is I already know. It's the last look before publication. It's just making sure the book exactly as you write it is grammatically correct. There's no misspellings in words that are not misspelled on purpose, because you can tell when things are misspelled because of vernacular or whatever, you know. I don't make any changes within dialogue, because I feel like when you're reading dialogue, it's supposed to read how it was. That's the character's voice, right? So if he says yes as yes, you know what I'm saying, we'd be like, yes, queen. Like if that's on in there, I'm not going to change it to yes, yes. I'm leaving that within the dialogue, and then in the meat of the story, if I'm doing copy edits or whatever, I may leave a comment and say, hey, in this, do you want to leave this spelling this way, or do you want to change it to traditional spelling? Things like that. So in proofreading, I'll leave more comments and ask questions about things I see that may be like, do you want me to look into this as a copy or a line edit, or do you want me to just mind my business and make sure periods and commas are where they're supposed to be? Because really, for me, proofreading is mostly what I see: comma placement, grammar, like sentence structure, using hyphens instead of dashes. A lot of times that's a big grammatical error that we see in fiction, because a hyphen is something that you use to join two words to make a combined word, a complex word. And a dash is something that interrupts a thought, that creates a stylistic sentence. So that's like a double hyphen, if that even makes any sense. It's two hyphens put together, and that adds like a pause, but it's a more meaningful pause than just a comma. So it's like I read through and see, okay, as I'm reading this, does it make sense to have a pause here in the sentence? Because sometimes pausing here instead of here changes the complete meaning of the sentence. So, you know what I'm saying? Like as I'm reading through, let's move this comma from here and move it here instead, because I feel like based on the context of what's going on in the story, that's not what you want to do. So that's what I focus on, is just making sure as you read the story, it's giving what it was supposed to give
Okay.
in the story structure.
So what's the line by line, copy line by line? What's that?
That's focused on stylistic. That's going to make sure that the voice of the author is clear and concise, that we don't have word repetition. A lot of times the author will get comfortable using the same word throughout the book. As editor, as a reader too, you can notice when someone says the same word all the time, right? Like, damn, they love this word, right? So as an editor, it's my job to find the words to replace that, to break up the monotony, to make sure it doesn't feel so repetitive.
Yeah.
Um, to make sure it's a more broad and pleasurable reading experience, that the sentence structure has style,
Mm.
maybe elevate it a little bit to make it feel more eloquent.
Mm.
And a lot of times authors, when they're writing, they're focused on the overall story, right? So like the sentence structure itself on that level is not so much a focus. But as they continue to grow and get feedback from authors, they'll see, oh, okay, I see how they changed this sentence from using these words to these words. Even like the order of the words they use. You could say like, at this moment, I wanted to slap his face. And I can come back and suggest that you say, I wanted to slap his face right now, or
Mm.
something. You know what I'm saying? It means the same
Yeah.
thing, but it reads differently. So that's what copy and line edits is going to be: sentence structure and how the story flows on a detailed basis, throughout the book.
Boy, this is so damn complex. I feel like I'm in English class. God damn. I'm sitting here like,
Yeah.
damn.
No, I love English class. It was my favorite. Love writing essays. Like I said, I got paid to write essays. I loved it. It was never hard for me. Like I could do it in my sleep. I've always loved to read. I loved like the like word problems in essays and things like that. Like I love word problems. I love being able to sit out and write out and explain something.
Mm.
So words have always been something that I've excelled with, whether I'm speaking it or writing songs, or like finding creative ways to say things is something that I really have been blessed with toying with. So I think I'm in a good space professionally to grow.
Yeah,
I'm
see,
learning too. I'm
I'm a,
learning, but I'm in a good place.
I'm a science person. I'm only science. So,
Ooh, girl.
yeah, I'm science. You get me in a lab with any type of lab, biology, biological, anything, I'm a beast. But this right here, I'm in sociology right now, and I'm struggling with these damn papers. But what genres do you write? Do proofreading for? And is there a genre that you're like, I have to do a little bit more research on that genre?
Um, no, I'll edit any genre.
Mm.
I'll edit any genre. Now I will say I focus on books featuring Black and BIPOC characters and casts,
Mm.
written by authors of color.
Mm.
That's my focus, because that's, I feel like, where my heart lies. Not saying I'm discriminatory that I won't work with anyone else, but I have more questions when it comes to other works, because if there's something within that book that I don't agree with, I'm quitting.
Mm.
And there's things that we won't know as an editor until we get to chapter 12. Like I can request sample chapters to see if I'm comfortable working with this book. If it's an author I don't know and I don't trust them yet, I can ask for sample chapters, but I just don't know what's going to happen later in the book because they only sent me book chapters 1 through 3.
Mm.
So you could pay your deposit and I can start my work, and I get to chapter 12 and you dropping words that I'm not finna work with. I will quit and refund your deposit and tell you to have a good day. Um, or not refund your deposit, because I'd have made it to chapter 13. I guess it depends on how many chapters I got to. But I'm just saying, yes, there are situations where I'm not playing games like that. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that.
So
So it's hard. It's hard to open myself up to certain spaces without having more questions. So I'll say that.
I can understand that. I could truly understand that because it's some authors that I'll never interview because they'll ask for an interview and I go on their page and I'll see something and I'll be like, absolutely, you know I'm black, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I
And
get
for
that.
me, it's a little difficult because I am light skinned and I am ambiguous with my race,
Mm-hmm.
but my heart isn't. You know what I'm saying? Like my life hasn't been, my
Mm-hmm.
family is not. So I just certain things I stand very firm on. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I haven't experienced that yet though. So we'll see how that works out if I ever
knock on wood, girl,
experience
because
it. Yeah.
I've been there, done that so many damn times. You wouldn't have think, but yeah. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this: now that you are here, now that you have got marked by Tylee, and you are here, what besides your screenwriting and wanting to film and all that stuff? What is your 2 year plan? Not five, not four, not 10. Your 2 year
Hmm.
plan to go from Marked by Tylee on TikTok, word of mouth, to Marked by Tylee, a household name.
Hey, I like that. No, it's crazy because the first book that I've edited is with publishing now. It's coming out this week, and like I
Mm-hmm.
actually have like my first acknowledgement as an editor in a published book that's releasing on the
Oh.
15th. And so it was just like crazy to see it. So a lot more of that for sure as my
Mm-hmm.
2 year goal. But definitely by 2 years, I'm going to hire a team. I'm going to have,
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer going to be a sole proprietor. I'm going to have a full functioning team with editors under me. I would like to have internships or mentorship programs with aspiring editors. I would like to have writer camps and workshops that I help to teach the importance of editing and the process of editing, educational courses that can be purchased without me having to actually work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, record workshops or ebooks or whatever. I would like to have products that are educational to support my business as revenue. I would like to work with major publishing houses
Mm-hmm.
in marginalized spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so definitely have a lot more of those things under my belt, but really just be glowing and growing, continuing to make impacts. I would like to have help change lives in a way that people out here living their dreams as authors because they have an editor they can trust.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that can go a long way. I feel like editors are meant to be a partner for an author. Authors have these stories, these ideas that haunt them in their sleep, and they are tasked with writing and bringing it to life. And they
Yeah.
may feel like they can't do it because they're not good with English, or they're not the best speller, or they're not good with grammar. But
Mm-hmm.
that's okay because that's not your job. Your job is to write the story. Just get the story out. Let the editor, hey girl, hey, I know you're tired from Brave, but your job is not to worry about sentence structure and grammar and things like that. That's my job. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the editor that authors can trust when they feel insecure, they feel vulnerable. You have a good story, write the story, and trust that I'm going to be a partner to help bring it to life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And get it ready for publication. And I just want people to follow their dreams and know they're supported and they have someone that will truly be with them along the way.
So, how do you plan on with everything going on with the climate of the election and stuff like that? I constantly say that, yeah, I constantly say that books was on the ballot, whether y'all saw it or not, it was on the
Mm-hmm.
ballot. And the Moms of Liberty has been waiting just to get rid of all of our shit. And the first thing people might think it'll be POC and black books that will go, but in all actuality, it'll be white books and what they deem as smut. How are you going to work around all of that, those changes that may come from an author who, let's just say, in Florida, where they're really big on banning books? So how are you going to work with that author and give them the best, foot forward, knowing that it's a possibility that this administration might be hardcore on ending a lot of things?
Um, I'm gonna tell them to say fuck the patriarchy. I'm gonna tell them to do you regardless. I believe, especially with this new administration, if there's nothing else that Trump believes in, it's free enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that he's going to always do whatever he can to support capitalism and the economy. And whether they want to believe it or not, book sales are the highest they've ever been. They are a
Mm-hmm.
driving force in this economy, and the Zon will never ban books. The Zon will never dismantle KU. The Zon will never take down this this stream of revenue that we have built as readers. We have so much buying power in Black America in general. In Black America in general, we control the dollar. We control the culture. We tell people what's popular and what to buy. So whether the author is white or black or not, it's still influenced by Black culture and what Black people do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always going to encourage an author to follow their heart and tell their stories. Regardless, I'm going to support them and do my part.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to back down, because Trump ain't gonna do nothing that's gonna take away dollars from this economy. He's just not. He's just not. And we have power in this space. We just truly do. Book sales drive an economy right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Facts.
think we need to keep it going. Now, we'll be banned in schools and things like that, sure, but I don't feel like I edit in a space that would truly be impacted by book bans in that type of space. Because you can ban a book, but there's always going to be people who are trying to find it, just because it's banned. That may make it more valuable to some people just because it's banned. So do it anyway. Fuck
Well,
them.
how would you being with your company, how would you go about to help libraries, because they will be impacted by this stupidity? So
Yes.
how would you go about in your community helping the librarians and the libraries be able to continue to give this wealth of knowledge and literacy? So how would you be a part of that change and that movement?
That's a really good question. I've always been very involved with my local libraries. Every summer, I volunteer and do classes at least twice a week. This summer, I think I only did once a week because I had to work so much. But whether it's teaching an arts and craft course or whatever, volunteering time to help add resources, because they truly don't have the option to hire people. Reading books for kids, just being present. At my local library in my hometown, they have a program called Friends of the Library, where
Mm-hmm.
you just volunteer your time to come and sort through books that are donated to the library and
Mm-hmm.
put stickers on them and put them on the shelves of the books for sale. And my library has books from 25 cents to $1, depending on the genre or the popularity of the book. Um, and just help them organize their shelves of books that are for sale. I buy a lot of books that are for
Mm-hmm.
sale in the library because that's direct income for them.
Yeah.
And then I also I've had local book club meetings, just bringing awareness and being present. I think people just don't go to the library. They don't
Mm.
they don't go to the library.
Yeah.
Um, and programs like Hoopla and Libby partner with local libraries. And luckily,
Mm-hmm.
my libraries here in Tulsa and surrounding cities are part of the metropolitan library system. So you
Mm-hmm.
have access to them. If you have a local library card, you can access all of the metropolitan books in digital format on the digital library with Libby and Hoopla and things like that. So just continuing to shout them out and say, hey, if you don't want to pay for KU, get a library card, get Libby, get Hoopla. You can have access to these things in these ways. And I think we're always going to have to be more intentional as the economy ebbs and flows, as we see changes. We're going to have to change our lives and our routines. Things that are
Mm-hmm.
not a priority right now are going to have to become a priority as we see the need arise.
Well,
So I know we're never doing enough. I know we can always do more. So I think being mindful, being present, showing up in our communities
mhm.
is important. And I know as things change, we're going to have to be okay with changing with them.
So, what about also the youth? There are so many children, teenagers, young adults that like to write. And when I was growing up, we used to make fun of people that was always in the books and stuff like that. And if you were in the books, you kind of hid it so nobody would know because you
Yeah.
didn't want nobody calling you a nerd or whatever. But how would you go back and give to these children, these young adults, these teenagers, and push them in a way of if they're interested in literary anything, and help them to mentor them, guide them?
That's a great question because my bookish space is very grown. The things I
Mm-hmm.
took about is very grown, but I do have kids. My son
Mm-hmm.
just turned 11. My daughter is 7. So there are things that I do. They read every day for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have zero screen time for an hour after school.
Mm-hmm.
When they finish the book, they write me a synopsis of what the book was about. I want to make my focus is reading comprehension. Like, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
give me every detail, but what was the book about?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a book review, but just write it
Yeah.
down. So continuing to be involved in starting with my household first, making
Mm-hmm.
sure that I'm ministering that love of books and love of reading to my children first.
Mm-hmm.
That's my direct impact. That's something I know for sure I can change. As they grow, I know my presence with my company, like I said, is going to change and grow with internships and mentorships and workshops and programs. That's something I look for and project down the line of how I can be more involved in community
Mm-hmm.
and things I can do. On Black Wall Street, there is one of my close friends, Cody. He owns Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge. He's actually from Ghana. He's not even from here, but he's lived here for, I don't know, 25 years now. So he's very invested, but he's a historian and has just a huge passion for the history of Tulsa, all the things that have happened here. So I've been very cued in with him in nonprofits in the area. One of my best friends works with the Terrence Cruncher Foundation here in Tulsa. So we do different, like Christmas break, we have three different programs for the youth, depending on age group, because a lot of families can afford to feed their kids when they're out of school. Things as
Mm-hmm.
simple as providing breakfast and lunch for kids. I work directly with those organizations, either Terrence Crunch Foundation or Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge, to make sure that I'm directly having an impact in my community in ways that I know that I can. And there are things that you can't change, but there are things you can change just by being involved and being plugged into your community. So I know as my business grows, so will my presence and my impact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's I think just being intentional about showing up in places that have a need right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I make sure my kids show up, whether it's like, we're making breakfast and lunch for kids that can't afford it. My kids are there with me. And I think it's like being intentional and showing them what it looks like to live a life of service and a life focused on community and love and sharing that. Then my kids will be the impact for their generation. I won't even have to. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because they're going to be natural leaders and natural change makers in their classrooms and
Mm-hmm.
in their communities and things like that. So I like that. My focus is making a change with the direct impact that I know I can have as a parent, and then
Mm-hmm.
my kids growing that impact, in the interim. So
Okay.
that's my goal.
So before we get out of here, I want you to explain your tears.
Gotta do it.
Huh?
Sorry, Whitney said, gotta bring back the Pizza Hut personal pizza. I'm telling you, that's why I used to read so much, man.
Uh, explain all your tiers, your prices, why your prices are the prices that you have, and how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So my website is www.marked by Tylee. That's MARKD by Tylee.com. There is an inquiry form. Anybody can email me from my website or email at info@markedbytylee.com with any questions or concerns about editing. I do have three different tiers right now. You can choose proofreading, copy and line edits, or developmental editing. They have set prices up to 100,000 words. So if you know your project, your manuscript is longer than that, or it's a short story, like severely shorter than that, under 20,000 words, let's talk and see if we can develop a custom price for you to fit your budget. When you check out at my website, it offers the ability to pay with Klarna and Afterpay and all that stuff. So you can break it up into 4 easy payments. Like, I want to be accessible. I want to be an asset and not an expense. That is my heart and my goal as a business. So proofreading is just $199 up to 100,000 words. Copy and line edits are $399 up to 100,000 words, and developmental edits are $599 up to 100,000 words. As my tiers go up, the services group. So if you purchase developmental edits, you're also getting copy line edits, and you're also getting proofreading for $599. So it's not like you still have to go pay for a proofreader to get developmental edits with me. You're gonna get it all. So um, I want to be an asset. I want to be somebody that is a true partner to indie authors because they brought so much joy and love into my life. Um, I escaped so much through reading in my life. I don't know if I'll ever be able to explain how much peace and joy has been brought to my life through reading. in my darkest times. So I have a true respect and appreciation of authors, and I just want to be someone they can depend on and trust as they continue to do the work that they do. It's so needed. It's so needed in our community, especially. And I price the way that I price because, as I mentioned earlier, the rates of editing is ridiculous. Not that people don't deserve to charge what they charge, because by all means, do you. If they paying it, charge it. But I just feel like it's astronomical to be paying $1,500 for somebody to read your book and fix a few periods and commas. That's crazy to me. Crazy to me. Anyways, that's not me. It will never be me. um, but yeah, that's why I charge what I charge. That's the tiers in my pricing, my website, and what I offer. I also cuss a lot and I do book reviews. So I think something that makes me unique as like an editor is a lot of authors know if I enjoyed the book that I've edited, they're going to have free marketing because I'm going to do a book review when it releases. I'm going to bring awareness to their book. So
Yeah.
there is value in working with me because I have built a platform on TikTok. Not even trying to sound like cocky or anything like that, but I have built a platform of people who look forward to my book reviews and take my recommendations seriously. They do read what I talk about. So authors, I think, that have booked with me have done so. I got people on my website. Hey, y'all. I love a good girl that listens. Um, so, a lot of them do it with that kind of two for one type of thing. Not only am I getting the editor, but I'm also getting some marketing because she's going to talk about my book on her page. Like, hey, whatever reason you have a book of me, I appreciate it.
Right,
Thank you,
Randy.
Randy. Thank you.
So I just want to say, just continue doing what you're doing. I be watching you. I just don't say nothing. But I don't. I be watching a lot of people. I just don't say nothing. I don't really be as much as y'all think I be on here. I really don't. Um, but I want you to continue doing what you're doing and uh, keep supporting indie authors, but also support yourself and also give
Thank you.
yourself grace because you're going hard for everybody else, but make sure you're going hard for yourself too.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that. I don't really know how.
Me
So
neither. So don't look at me
there's
to
that.
answer that question. Me neither.
Yeah, I
But
don't know.
you
We'll
got to
see.
take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? So give yourself grace. I do, like I said, I do want you to do more book events. Not just the Boozy Book Tour. There's too many events happening next year for you not to
There
be at least at a good five. A good five.
is. Yeah.
If not four, five.
Yeah.
And have a table and be out here, promoting your stuff. Because you might run into a reader, not just an author that's there, but a reader who might
Baby,
want a book, who might want to write a book. So,
I'm busy right now. Can you go? I need to ask you something. You gonna have to wait. No, it's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick. What you want, man? There's only one piece of sweet potato pie. Go ahead, son. That's so important. He had to come ask me for sweet potato pie. Telling you, man, they don't care,
they
Randy.
don't give a damn.
They do not. Greedy ass. Anyways,
But yeah, I do want you to go to more events because there might be a reader out there who might want to start their own indie company. One. Two, they might want to write a book and they looking at you like, damn, she was a reader, now she got a company and should be perfect for editing my book.
right? Yeah.
So
No, you're right.
so
You're
you
right.
need to do that.
I will be at the Boozy Book Tour in Tulsa for sure. I will be at the Black Romance Fest for sure, and I will be at Southern Hearts for sure next year.
Are you gonna have a table there?
I don't know. I might have a table at Southern Hearts. I might. Black Romance Fest, I'm helping work an author's table.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I might be able to get a table at Southern Hearts. I gotta talk to Kimberly
Well,
Brown.
since you're working that table, maybe you ask the author, can I put my cards on your table as well?
I'm sure she'll let me do that. I'm sure she will. I'll ask her though.
So
I'll ask
just
her.
saying. Gotta get the
No,
word
for
out
real.
because we need, and this is no shade to nobody, but we need more people that are proofreading and editors and stuff like that that is not going to scam the authors.
Absolutely.
Because there are too many editors that are alleged editors that are out here taking y'all money and don't give y'all the edits for like 7 or 6 months.
Which is
Something
crazy to
done
me.
came up. Something done came up. Something done came up. So We need more like you. That's all I'm
Thank
saying.
you. I appreciate that. I'm trying. I am trying. And what you're doing here is amazing. I wish you for you continued success. You're a really good interviewer. I always enjoy watching your interviews. You ask intriguing questions, important questions. So you're here doing the Lord's work.
I try. I try. I just signed um a contract with Prime Direct to put my podcast, like a live podcast, on Prime Direct, Prime Amazon Direct. So
Nice.
I I don't know how that works. I don't know I don't know. I just, I'm just going with the flow of how everything's
Absolutely.
going in my life right now.
Yeah.
I had to step back, reevaluate some shit, and then come back and focus on me.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Sometimes you have to do that. You get caught up in other shit, but
Girl, yes.
stay
Lord
true
keep
to your path. I'm happy for you. That's crazy. So we'll have to subscribe, y'all. Make sure you watch. Keep us posted on that. Once
I
you figure
look,
out how that works, let us know so we can figure out how it works.
girl, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just here. And when I find out, y'all find out. But so far, it's just been the contract has been signed. That's all I know
That's
right now.
amazing. So you like a rapper that got a distribution deal. Watch out.
What? I never thought of it like
Watch
that.
out. Watch out. Absolutely. That's dope.
Well, I'm finna get out of here because I have a chemistry test in the morning. So
Oh,
I have to study. And but you have your link in your smile, right?
I do. It is there.
So
It is there. Go
give
to my
us all your
website.
socials before we get out of here and how they can once again get to your website.
I am officially Tylee on IG. Here, of course, this is my page, officially Tylee918. And I'm not on Facebook and IG often, but more so on Facebook. It's Tylee Hartman on Facebook. But all my stuff is in my tree. It's in the tree in my bio. You can find me everywhere. I be everywhere the hoes is at.
Well, y'all heard it there. Y'all make sure you authors get her.
Yes, get with me. I love y'all for real, for real.
And
Anyways,
if you have started writing your stuff, get with her.
yeah, let's talk about it. I'm booking for the new year. Have a few slots left for December. Very few, but I have a few slots left for December. So get with me if you got something, a Christmas story, novella coming up. Let's figure it out. Happy
Hey, baby
baby.
mama.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Storm. It's been so fun.